Let's see if this works. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my live stream. Today, I have a special guest. I have Andy with me. He's someone that I always admired, love chatting to. I love talking football with Andy on Twitter. We've been doing it for years. Sometimes we don't agree with each other. I love that you're very opinionated as well. But, 2 seconds. You can see technical faults. I can hear myself. There you go. That's all. It's just echoing. But please, if anyone is watching, actually help me out. If the sound is incorrect, if you can't hear me and Andy, or if it goes fuzzy or something, please let me know. So, Andy, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, Mo, great to be here, mate. Love chatting to you. Love your stuff. Good guy. Like when you asked me to come on, I was like, yes, mate. I know it. Like chatting football, chatting about my FPL stuff. You're the man.
It's actually a privilege, Andy, because it's my first live stream on the channel, to be honest, and my first guest. So it's perfect. So I'm more than happy to have you. So hopefully you can help me along the way. Obviously, I'm going to get a couple of things wrong and whatnot.
No worries,
But,
mate. I'm here to help as well. So it's all
perfect.
Good.
Thank you very much. So first of all, Andy, how are you feeling about this upcoming season?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready for it now. Like we've had enough time off the Premier League. It's like so much summer of sport, and I'm like, get me football back now. Like it starts this weekend with Leeds. I'm a Leeds fan. Yeah. We got Pompey Saturday lunchtime, but FPL stuff. Yeah, I'm buzzing for it, and I'm like to have the fresh start and a fresh clean slate until like the Friday evening. You're like, okay, I've made a mistake. Yeah, I can't wait to have it back. So it's all good.
Speaking of Leeds, are you confident about them? Are they going to come back up?
Oh, mate, I'm always overconfident with Leeds. Like, I look at our squad, I look at our team, and look at other teams in Championship. I thought last year's Championship was stronger. This year, I think we have to get top two, otherwise it could go downhill quite quickly. So, yeah, hopefully we get it together and do all right.
And now you've told me how happy you are for FPL to be back, but how optimistic are you going to be doing good in FPL this season?
The way it's working out, the way it's looked, I'm going to be super high all season.
Well, in that case, we're gonna go straight into it. To be honest, let's have a look at your draft and talk me through it, please.
Yeah, so this is a draft where I'm looking to wildcard in Gameweek 4, and I feel that with the players I've got 15 players. I haven't got just 11 and then bench fodder. I feel like I've got 15 players to try and stop me doing a transfer in the first 3 weeks. Is like my main target, so like build up those free transfers, and looking at fixtures, looking at players. Who do I want? Who do I think is going to explode in the first 3 weeks and do well, and try and hit it hard first 3 weeks, and then wildcard, so that again in Game Week 4 after the international break, I'm like, okay, wildcard fresh, let's go, let's smash it again, and that should be a couple more weeks of using no transfers, so that Game Week 6 comes around, and I've got 4 free transfers, options, and hopefully a decent start for once. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. That's planning to a T. Free transfers, you've already got them put away. But the reality is, I'm looking at your draft now, which we're going to go through actually, just in case someone's not looking at the screen. So you got Flecken in goal, Meniz at the back, Pedro Porro, Trent, Vardio, Salah, Odegaard, Gordon, and Callum. And then you got Isaac and Havertz. And your bench is Henderson and Cuckoo. Is it Meniz and Davis?
Yeah.
So you're looking to do an early wildcard. And is absolute. Yeah. Why is that? Before we even get into your team individually, I'm just curious to know why you're looking to do an early wildcard.
Main reasons, I think a lot of transfers will happen right before the window shuts. So teams may be changing right up until deadline. After Game Week 3, got the international break, where I think a lot of people will be making their first transfers, so I can catch team value that like over the international break. And also as well, I think with the Euros, with some players perhaps catching up to fitness, I think that wildcard in 4 allows me to get players like Foden, Palmer, Saka maybe, Saka maybe a bit later on after their 2 difficult fixtures, but like adjust to some of the big hitters coming back in 4, where perhaps they're taking a bit of time to get up to speed. I mean, it could change. It's just a draft, and I want to see how like fresh and firing Saka and Palmer are this week, because they just come back to training. So it definitely could change. But at the moment, I'm thinking, look, perhaps they're not ready, but by game week 4, they'll be there and able to put them straight in, where others probably won't start with them. And then maybe I can get ahead with them in my team.
So let's start with the first thing, not the elephant in the room, let's call it, but the Terminator, Haaland. He's not in your team. So that's the biggest thing we need to start with, first of all. Why have you gone no Haaland? Have you been watching preseason, Andy?
Yeah, I mean,
You've
Haaland's a beast. We know it. We know he's a Terminator. We know it's Ipswich game week 2. I know a hat trick.
Or even Chelsea game week 1, Andy.
I still think it's a difficult fixture. I know Chelsea have been struggling pre-season, but it's away to Chelsea. You've got to think they do a bit more. Game week 1, Super Sunday. It's still Chelsea away, and I've done drafts with Haaland, and my squad feels weak, and it feels like with Haaland you're having the same 11 for 3 weeks because your bench fodder and your defence kind of feels weaker. And if anything happens to that 11, I feel like you're making a transfer. Where like this draft, even if Salah gets injured, I don't need to make a transfer because of other players that I've got coming in the other weeks after game week 1.
But let's spin that. Yeah. What if Haaland does score a hat-trick in the first game and he does well in the second game? Are you gonna still wait for your wild card, or are you gonna make a move? You've got a plan in place to bring him in.
My plan is just a game week 7, perhaps, is to when there's got really tasty fixtures. I'm not going to make him I'm expecting him to start pretty well and do well, but he's 15 million, so it doesn't put me off. It doesn't put me if he scores a hat trick first 2 game weeks. I don't necessarily think a hat trick's going to be in game week 3. It's not like I'm chasing, so I've just got to accept that. Yeah, if he gets a hat trick, so be it. But I just think my squad can do well.
I mean, normally I wouldn't believe any manager that says that, but you, Andy, I've seen you've got previous where you're what I mean by that, stubbornness or good management or
stubbornness. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, because I've seen you. I mean, I still haven't recovered from the amount of stick you're giving me for bench boost. No, free hitting in 29 last season, but we're not going to talk about that now. I still have the amount of stick I've got from you for that. My goodness,
I'm relentless.
I know you.
horrible.
But the reality is, you have to be adaptable. If he does look like he's firing and he tends to score all of City's goals, surely you've got a plan in place. You sell Salah and Isaac or Havertz and Odegaard, something like that. You've not even tested that. You're that confident that your team can withstand the Haaland points. Yeah, and it's not just the points, Andy. It's the captaincy. Remember, that's the thing that really not freaks me out. It's the wrong word, but always makes me think. I can handle that he scores 1 goal a game, but it's hard to handle that most people just captain him. You call it lazy, whatever you want to call it, but it tends to work.
Sure, and I've decided to go without, and I'm pretty sure we'll stay without him. And yeah, he could score hatfuls of goals, but I think with the Arsenal fixture that comes around pretty quick, and then I think it's Newcastle away, it could suddenly change where I've missed out on 5 Haaland goals first 2 weeks. Fair enough, he's a beast, he's done it. But he might not score then for 3 weeks, and I've brought him in and messed up everything. So I'm not someone that's going to be chasing. I've decided to not have him in a team. I don't think he's worth 15 million. I think it's a different story if he's 14. I know that doesn't make much sense, but 15 million is a lot of your budget, and it just allows me to upgrade everywhere without him. So I mean, my defense, I've not seen a bigger defense. It's huge. No. It's crazy the amount of money.
And in fact,
crazy on the bench and stuff. But
let's go to that, Andy. Let's go. That's a good segue there, because I think we all know you've committed to the no Haaland. I'll be intrigued to see if this is how you're going to be lining up game week 1. With not obviously small changes if there's injuries and whatnot or more information, but more the no Haaland. That's the one I'm going to be keen to see if you hold your nerve. But you've gone on to the defense. Big at the back. What is back? Do you remember what happened to us when we done this? Was it last season? We all started, or was it the season before? We were all big at the back and we got decimated. There was no clean sheets. And is this season, are you not thinking it's going to be the same as last season? It was I think one of the highest amount of goals scored in the Premier League, and add the bonus points potential issue, Andy, where defenders might be more difficult for them to get them. So you're realistically relying on cleans or goals or on assists. So that doesn't put you off.
Not particularly. I'm not even relying on cleans for these defenders either. Particularly, like all my 5 defenders, if they get a clean sheet, brilliant. But they're so attacking, they're so explosive. I'm disappointed if they don't get a return attacking wise in a game. Like I watched them all last season. I think they're all outstanding. Like even Davis in the championship was so high and so wide and so many balls in, so many assists. Like I want him for that game week 3 fixture. I think he's good for that. And they're all just again players that could explode, and I think they're worth their prices. Like you know how much I love Trent as well, and I think
I do love that pick.
I always try and start with Trent anyway. So
I really do like that pick, and I think at 7 million, I think he's got in that defense there, he's got the best potential. I think. I mean, it's stating the obvious, but not just the corners and set pieces, and I think the positions he's going to take up. I've been watching Slot's tactics. I've watched every preseason game. I'm so keen. I know it's only preseason, not for the results, but just for shape and structure.
Yeah.
And Bradley's been incredible, by the way. He's such a good player. But when you add the positions Bradley was taking up, if you put Trent in there with that quality, I had to think of a way to get him in. Honestly, I think he's got potential this season to be back to the original Trent. Seriously, through cutbacks. And even when he inverts in, it's not just inverting to stop the counters. He's going to be a bit further up, sometimes right near the 8s or 10s, if you want to call them that. So he's going to be in advanced positions. And like you said, Andy, you've seen his quality. So I think the potential this season with him, no problem at all. The 7 million is well spent.
Do you think it will be Trent from game week 1? I mean, that is a slight concern again.
That's the one. So we've got the Seville match on, is it Sunday? So and we've got another one behind closed doors. So hopefully we get more information, because there's 2 things. First of all, he's come back late. The second thing, I don't even want to call it an issue, but his contract's issue. That is something that I think we all think he's going to sign a new contract, but you never know. And then the third thing is how good Bradley is. Now, I know I've mentioned him the second time, but honestly, I'm not sure how much you've seen of Andy. He's so good. He would get into most teams in the Premier League. He's that good. He's such a good player. So to answer your question, does he get in for game week 1? I'm not sure. We'll see this Sunday. I'll give you a bit more information. Honestly, it's very difficult to pick that. But he's in, spoiler as well, I'll show my draft later, but he's in my team as well. I really like Trent.
Because, I mean, if Trent wasn't ready and there's like kind of a bit of insight that kind of Bradley's going to start game week 1, he would be the downgrade so that I can get in Saka probably if Saka starts to show that he's ready for game week 1, and go with Saka rather than Odegaard is how I'd do it.
I'm more confident in saying Saka's going to start game week 1 than Trent. So that if you had to make a decision right now, so you could revert that. But obviously, if you see on Sunday Trent starting,
it's awkward.
Yeah, it is. But that one there, we've still got a week's information. So that's Trent. Vardio, I think, seems a pretty easy pick. Long as he plays in the same position. He's played centre-back in pre-season. But I think that's to do with personnel, not to returning.
Yeah, but even with that, I think City is still the strongest for clean sheets. So he's there for clean sheets and also set-piece threat. So
you think City are better than Arsenal at clean sheets? Sorry to interrupt you.
So, I mean, top 2, yeah. Those 2 are clear of the rest. But, yeah. I mean,
so I think Vardio and Trent, no problem. The interesting ones now is your other 2. Pedro Porro, I've seen within the community, he's becoming very popular. I think I was about to say the robot, but the models and stuff are showing him to be a good pick. He scored that stunner in pre-season. We know he's very attacking, but Spurs were pretty horrid defensively last season. So you're still confident with that? Where is he in the list of the ones that is he locked in?
Yeah, he's highly locked in. I wouldn't say locked in, but he's high on the list of someone that's going to be there, because I want to have Spurs coverage for the first 2 fixtures. I think Son has definitely entered my mind as well, but to have Spurs player in there and Porro, he's pretty much nailed to start for Spurs, and it's attacking threat again, and it's Leicester. Then is it Everton game week 2?
You said their fixtures are good, but having a quick look here, sorry for everyone on the screen, it's really small. This is the fixture ticker organized by the first 6 game weeks from Scout, which I can highly recommend, by the way. So where are they? So who are we talking about? They're Spurs. It's not ideal. Everton, solid under Dyche. You confident there, Andy?
I'm solid. I'm solid that Porro gets to attacking returns, and it's only the first 2. I'm looking at Porro because I've got like the game week 4 wild card, it's not.
You're not
So
concerned
Porro
about
for
this game week.
Porro for first 2, and then as an option, I could switch to Davis in 3.
Yeah.
So it's only the first 2 really.
And then lastly, in your defense, we're going to just flick through Minis. I was really impressed with him last season. I watched him live a couple of times. Palace being not too far from me, actually, a local team. I watched him. Very, very good. I saw when they destroyed West Ham, and he should have got a couple of returns in that game, honestly.
He was lucky not to get more returns, definitely.
Yeah, did you have him in that game week? I don't know if you remember near the end of the season.
I didn't own him that week, I don't think, no.
But he's a good price, good pick. I had him. I've rotated back and forth with him. So do you think, so if Maatsen starts for Aston Villa, he's a good player, by the way, would you consider swapping him? You've had a consideration there or no? Villa's fixtures are good. They're a strong team. They've bought well in the market. You wouldn't consider that?
I wouldn't consider Maatsen. I would consider more start 3 at the back.
All right.
And downgrade that somewhere else. But every time I've done a draft, I've kind of like ended up with money to spare with no Haaland, and it's like, okay, put in another 5 million defender and things like that. So I like his attacking threat. Again, it's not about clean sheets; it's the attacking threat. I think my four starting defenders there can get returns easily.
I think it's arguably the best 4 defenders if you had a choice, I think, to pick from. I think if you offered most FPL managers, which 4? I'm trying to think who's missing. That's in the I'm not including the 4.5.
I mean, Arsenal defense is one because they're more solid and
they're the best for clean sheets, but maybe for attacking returns. I mean, a lot of the attacking returns weren't just actually White at the end of the season came through, but Gabriel's headers and stuff. He's been the best since he's come into the Premier League. But can we expect Arsenal to score that many set pieces this season again? Is that possible? Was that a one-off? So that's the reason of the Arsenal ones. I don't know.
Yeah, it's less explosive, but it's more kind of. It's definitely more for the wild card where it's kind of set and forget, leave an Arsenal defender in there, kind of looking at maybe 50% clean sheets, 40, 50% clean sheets, that kind of thing. So
your defense is outstanding. Before we go into the midfield, I want to talk about your goalkeeper, actually, which a lot of people neglect because it is a bit of a boring position. But first of all, I've noticed you've got 2 playing goalkeepers. So you're not keen on a cheap one to save the 0.5, Andy.
If I needed the money, I'll do it, but I don't. And I'm thinking, okay, if one of them gets injured, I've got the other one for 3 weeks, and I don't have to make a transfer there. But I think goalkeepers, it's not an exciting position this season. I don't really like I don't like any 4.5s particularly. I'm just like, if you get a few saves, mate, go for it. Like, great.
But you've got Flecken in goal. Look at his. Look where Brentford are on the ticker. Crystal Palace at first, not ideal. Then straight away, Liverpool. The first 2 are grim. And considering your wild card, so you'd basically play him just against Southampton or Crystal Palace as well.
Yeah, maybe 1 and 3 as the home fixture, and then I've got Henderson game week 2. But again, I don't know what to do game week 2. Do I put in another 4.5 that's got a chance? There's no one really that stands out as a 4.5 option.
Nah. What about the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper? If we find out who's going to be the new Giant or Sales or say whoever, would you be tempted there? They've got lovely fixtures. They're pretty good defensively.
Yeah, I'd be tempted. Again, I did start with Sales, but then I switched it because of the uncertainty. Yeah,
so that's enough on goalkeepers, like you said. It's a pretty boring position, but we still have to discuss it because it is important. Let's go into the midfield, and I can see you've got the King Salah there, another player that me and you both love in FPL. I think he's a bit of a no-brainer. Do we really need to? How much do we need to sell him, Andy?
People are saying that he is perhaps overpriced and he's coming down, but I still think he's there for the every minute, right? He's not going to the minute. No. Captain Ball, solid pick. The only thing that's put me off slightly, do you think he's still on pens?
Yeah.
Or do you think that will change? You think he's still...
I'll be astonished if anyone can take pens off him. I mean, if he goes through the season and he misses, say, the first 2 again, and then fair play, I think even in himself, he'd be like, I'll give McAllister the next pen. But no, he's all about numbers and stats. So he's not going to allow the easy option to beef up those goals. So no chance. I think he's still on pins. 12 I mean, then he had a poor season and he got 18 goals and 12 assists. And that was with 500 less minutes because of internationals and injuries.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's an easy pick. The interesting one you've got in here, you've got the Arsenal captain, Odegaard, who, by the way, is like one of my favorite players to watch in the Premier League.
Indeed.
Like,
For me, he's getting to a stage where he's like the best Premier League player. He's getting to that stage now.
He is that good. I mean, I don't know if you saw the preseason, even against Leverkusen. I know it's a preseason, so don't worry about the result, but more how he plays football, his football brain. Real Madrid must be kicking themselves. Now they've lost all their brain players like Cruz and Modric. They had him. Unbelievable. He's an elite player. But for FPL at that price, you're confident with that?
No,
he's not prolific, is he? Like,
no, it's not a confidence thing. But I wanted to try and get Arsenal attack. I think they do well, especially game week 1 and 3.
Yeah.
But he's the one that's on my mind as kind of great. If he gets a return, he's good for bonus. But how likely is a return where there's more explosive players that you could possibly get in there? It's an awkward one because, again, it's kind of like, oh, I've got this money.
That's the thing.
Do I go him? Do I go Bruno? Would you go Bruno? Or like, do I have to spend the money?
The penalties, I mean, obviously Odegaard is superior, well, not superior, but better player and playing for a better team. But then Bruno, who does create chances. We know his teammates don't score them, but he does create chances and he takes penalties. So you could argue that alone maybe gives him the boost on Odegaard. I don't know. It's a tight one. Or do you think, is it a certainty that extra money you've spent, does he outscore Eze, for example, who might be on pen, you know?
No, it's true. I mean, I wanted to see Eze without Elise and Mateta to start off the season.
Yeah.
If it was still Elise and Mateta, I think Eze's brilliant. But when he kind of misses those guys, I want to see how he's faring to start off with.
You're confident? Go on. Sorry, Andy. Go on.
I'm just not on like I owned Eze last season. I captained him. I had him for the double game weeks. Brilliant footballer. Will be integral to Palace, I'm sure, but has he got the assets around him to give him the FPL points? I want to wait and see on Eze for me. And I know people are really hot on him and love him, and rightly so, but I'm just a bit dubious of how well he can do without.
Martinelli, Trossard, not tempted with those two? Or was it the minutes?
Minutes. Awkward one. I mean, cool. As I say, Saka could come in for Odegaard, and I could definitely find the extra 2 million in my team there from downgrading a couple of players, like to find Saka or even Son. Like, it's very workable that I could change Odegaard to Son or Saka.
Yeah. Well, let's go to Gordon. Last season, I thought he was one of the best players in the Premier League. I really, really liked him. I'm getting excited at Liverpool, and he wants to come Liverpool as well. He's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah. I mean, if that happens, it's a strange one because you've got so many attacking left, and like, it's not.
I think Diaz would leave. I think Diaz would leave if he joins. It has to. It can't work out. There's too many players, and you wouldn't pay that much money for him to just be bench and rotation. So I think Diaz would leave, which would possibly help the balance because I don't think Diaz and Nunes can play together because they're both a bit not headless chickens, but you know what I mean, a bit erratic.
Yeah.
Where Gordon is a bit more solid, I think. I think he will score more goals than Diaz. So I'm still hoping it happens. I think it makes him a worse FPL asset. Because at Newcastle, surely, Andy, there's no challenge to him, isn't it? He's like certified. He's going to start every game.
You got Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, but
I mean, Gordon's so clinical, and to not play the minutes in the summer for England was criminal. I was just every game I was crying out for this is Gordon's time. Like, that left-sided front forward. He's so clinical in front of goal. He gets in those positions. Isaac finds him a lot as well, and they work well together. So, if Gordon stays at Newcastle, he stays there, especially game week 1 to 3. I love him as a player. He's so quick. He's so direct.
He's very good.
Yeah.
More impressive, Andy. I saw the interviews. I don't know if you saw when Gary Neville interviewed him for the overlap, and his mentality. I mean, maybe I was stereotyping. I thought he's just, a Scouser football player is going to be a certain way, but his mentality, the way he spoke, like, honestly changed my impression of him. He's got the potential, I think, to go up to the next level. His preparation for games, the way he studies games. You think he's just a natural player, but he puts in a lot of work and effort. I think that's why it makes sense for him or Liverpool or another team because he's got that. I think he's got that in him, you know, to make the next jump.
But do you not think in Newcastle he can be like the main guy there every minute, playing all the time?
He can, but Newcastle, how do they make this?
Newcastle's a big club. Like if I was at
Monster club.
If I was at Newcastle and I was like the main guy and like being loved, I would enjoy that. And Newcastle, a massive club, so I don't think there's too many clubs to which will be a step up for him. I mean, Liverpool will be one, but Newcastle.
What about trophies though, Andy? You say that you'd be loved and adored, similar, but if he goes to Liverpool, the probability of winning it's just better. That's the thing, isn't it? And he's a Liverpool fan.
True.
So you put them two together. But anyway, let's leave Gordon. I think I'm not even questioning that. I'm trying my best to grill your picks, but your team is really
That's fine. Yeah.
I'm trying my best, but we're going to quickly go to Callum, who didn't start Nottingham Forest's last pre-season friendly. Does that concern you? Because they've got another new winger and they've got Elanga.
The minutes is a risk with him. I thought he would be the nailed-on winger to start because of how well he finished last season. Again, it's more the fixtures with Forest. I wanted the Forest attacker in there.
Forest, I agree with you. I had Gibbs White trying to maneuver that money. That's something possibly you could do with Odegaard downgrading and bringing him up to moving him to potential Gibbs White, maybe.
I mean, I was unaware that Hudson-Odoi didn't start tonight. Then was it tonight they played?
Their last. I think it's their last preseason, unless they do one behind closed doors. But this was like their last announced one, and he didn't start. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the midfielders, you've got Nkuku, which I think a lot of us are hyping up. I've watched Chelsea's preseason games, and they've been a bit of a horror show. But attacking wise, he's been not too bad. You can tell he's a bit behind in fitness and touch. But I like that pick. It makes sense at that price. But you're benching him against Man City, yeah?
I'll always try and bench against Man City. I know, like they're so superior that even apart from Liverpool, only Liverpool players kind of get in my team if they're facing Man City.
Yeah.
But if I've got a chance to bench players playing Man City, then I'll do that. And even if it's Nkunku, he's great. I think he's a classy player. I think he'll do well. I'd always prefer to not start him against.
One more midfielder, actually, before we finish one. You're not considered Jota. I know you like him as well, and it looks like he's going to start. I know you said already the 5 attackers puts you off, but it does look like he's got the number 9 shirt, at least for the first 2 games. If we were to judge now, you're not tempted? And you've got the potential to be able to take it because you've actually got a good bench.
I would be tempted if I can guarantee that he's there and starting and firing. Like, I can't take too many risks the first 3 weeks. I'm like, I have to get these starters, really.
Yeah. How much minutes would you need from Jota to be able to for him to get into your team?
I would worry with starting Jota, thinking, is it going to be the hour mark he comes off? With like if Nunes is on the bench or Harvey Elliott sat there waiting to come on, like and I'm never confident with Liverpool. Like unless it's like Mo Salah, it's kind of like, oh, I hope they get to that minute or hope to. Yeah.
And starting a season like that is never ideal. I'm in agreement with you there. It's a lovely pick. That Jota, he's just we know it. We all love him within the FPL community.
Yeah. And
it's the minutes.
Any time Jota's got a good run and like you can guarantee he's going to play 78 minutes every week, brilliant. Like he's clinical. Like I love clinical forwards like Jota. You can back him and trust him to score in front of goal. And if I knew the minutes was there, I'd be straight on him.
You'd have been on him. All right, let's go to your attack. Your midfield, your defense so far. I mean, goalkeeper a little bit suspect, but midfield and defense, very good. Attack. Now, Isak, I think he's going to be one of the highest on players, unless he gets injured, Andy. So I think that's an easy one. I can see you've got the captaincy there. And someone in the chat, I think Jesse asked earlier on regarding captaincy. Who do you think is the best captain for game week 1?
I never like the half 12 fixture, which Liverpool have. I think they'd be gutted to face Ipswich game week 1 as well. Like you kind of want that fixture later in the season. You don't want the balloons, the streamers, everyone's vibrant at Portman Road. First game back, everyone up for it. Half 12 away, awkward. I don't like Salah can still do well, but I never like it. Where Isaac at home, St James's Park, first game of the season to a promoted club, it's different. Like, it's 3:00 on a Saturday. Isaac, to me, stands out as a captain. I don't know why that is, because Salah can do very well. But for me, Isaac, if he doesn't get a return, I would be shocked in Game Week 1 against
Do you think he's
Southampton.
the best captain? Even if you had Haaland, do you think Isaac's still the best captain?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Fine.
Even though Chelsea have looked awful in pre-season, I still think if I had Haaland, I'd still go Isaac. Game Week 1.
Fair. And your other attacker, you've got Havertz, who I really like. But in the last pre-season game, Jesus has been playing. Now, is this an issue or a good thing? I don't think the minutes is an issue, because we know all it means is he plays in the 8, which is allowed to become the 10, obviously. And then later on, when Jesus comes off, he'll go up front. But is that enough to put you off, or are you still happy with that?
I thought about this a lot last night. I still like Havertz, even though he's playing out of position as the 8, like you say, as a left centre midfielder. He still gets into those positions, even coming from deep anyway. And for me as well, looking at my squad and the players, if you look at the games, Game Week 1 and Game Week 3, 2 decent home games, I'm relying on Havertz to play both. And I still think he can do well from a deeper position. He gets in great areas. Arsenal create a lot. He creates a lot. He gets the ends of things. He links up well with Jesus. Jesus is not he's playing up front, but he's not the goal scorer. The goals come from other areas. So,
see, Jay knows Arsenal. Being an Arsenal fan, she's saying this Havertz is guaranteed minutes. That's the good thing about him. So you've got no issues there, just regarding the position, to be honest. And I really like him as a pick. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's different if you're going longer, because you kind of look into Game Week 4 or 5, you think, yeah, not great fixtures, but the first 3, and to only with him as well, because I wouldn't play him at Villa in Game Week 2.
Yeah. So would you play Muniz?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've already worked out what permutations, of course, of barring no injuries, which game. So you'd actually rest Havertz for Muniz. You would, yeah.
And it's mad to have like strong benches like I would do the first 3 weeks, but I'm playing it differently. I'm playing the whole squad, like the 15 players in different weeks.
So is that something you've come into this season, Andy, you want to do? That's a strategy you want to put in, that you want to utilize your bench?
Yeah, strategy for early on to try and avoid any transfers. So using my 15 and kind of like Muniz coming in Game Week 2, Davis coming in 3, and Kunku coming in 2. If I get an injury in Game Week 1, I can rely on other players like Havertz at Villa if he has to play. That's not a big thing, but like that kind of thing. So
Arsenal are going to want revenge. Villa done a double over them last season.
Yeah, so that hurt them. I mean, that game when Ollie Watkins scored that chip was
that goal. Yeah, it crushed them.
Such a great game, though. I really love that game. That's one of my games this season. Like Emery masterclass, but also Arsenal was still strong in that game as well. It was a good game.
And last but not least is Muniz. So what made you go him over Wood? Wood scored tonight, by the way, just to let you know.
I tweeted this earlier.
And look at the fixtures. Is it because, to help you out here, I've got Fulham's fixtures. They're the top in the first 6, albeit you're only concentrating to Game Week 4. But the fixtures are incredible. But Wood, I mean, his goal ratio is very good when he's playing.
It's fine. I mean, Wood's okay, and the fixtures are there. I still worry that Awani can start games, and I've only got Muniz for Game Week 2 at home to Leicester. So it's the first 3 weeks, he's on my bench 1 and 3, because the 2 away games. He's just there for Leicester at home, and that's it. Like, that's all I'm looking at him for.
Okay.
So hopefully they can do their first home game of the season. Muniz up top against a promoted team. So I've got a lot of players on my team that play in promoted sides early on in the first 3 weeks.
And is that intentional? Like, you're targeting the fixtures. You think the promoted teams are going to get a baptism of fire, basically?
Yeah.
Well, overall, I really like your draft. I mean, everyone in the comments can let me know what do you think of Andy's draft. Do you think he's on the... Look, people are rating it. Look, yeah, you see. I want to see people's opinions. No, Haaland is obviously the big shock. The rest of your team, when you don't go Haaland, Andy, you can do whatever you want. To be honest, I am
Yeah, and
surprised to not see a Palmer or I would have possibly went a cheaper defense and had at least one more premium in midfield. Son, Palmer, or Saka. I reckon.
I think the more I talk about it, and I've discussed this today with a guy at work as well. Like, Son is tempting. The fixtures are there for Son. Saka as well. Palmer, because he's got City, it's awkward when you wildcard in game week 4. Like, to have Palmer against City first game, and then you've only got 2 more weeks. But Palmer's great. But for me, Saka and Son, I think the more I look at it, the more I think, yeah, he needs to come in for Odegaard, I think.
Yeah. So you'd have to make a sacrifice in defense.
Yeah, I think I'd downgrade somewhere. And it's
Or you
like you say, if Trent isn't looking likely for game week 1, I think that could be the downgrade.
Yeah, see, there's some here that's saying they don't like spreading the funds, Andy, over 15 players. Only
neither do I. It's 3 weeks. Like, forget the normality. Like, I'm back to the reliable team selection come game week 4. But this is kind of me trying to not make a transfer because I don't want a weak bench and playing the same 11 for the first 3 weeks. I want to have a strong bench and anyone can come in so that I don't make a transfer. And then I wildcard, so I'm not making a transfer 2 weeks after that either, and build up those free transfers, which I think can be quite beneficial.
Ash said Flecken. He said, nah, he's going to ship hell of a loads of goals.
No, I understand. Like, I look at the keepers and think, I don't like anyone.
I agree. I think we discussed this earlier on, Ash, that me and Andy went through the 4.5 keepers. No one, but to be honest, Andy, you've got no Haaland. You could actually get Raya. If you make another sacrifice somewhere, you could actually. Would you rate him as the best goalkeeper this season at 5.5 million? I know we don't normally spend that much money, but is he the best goalkeeper? If you had that money to spend,
I think for a longer term, yes. Maybe, but again, the first 3 weeks, I can see Villa scoring, and then I can see Raya not making a save. So was it 6-2-6?
Yeah.
For 5.5, I don't know. Yeah, but over the course of the season, I think he probably will be top. But we'll see later on.
So for your team to really do well against, say, the Haaland teams, you're batting on two things. First of all, here, Haaland obviously without going crazy, that's one of them. But the other one as well, that people get injuries, or when you've got a Haaland team, like you said, your constraint is your bench tends to be a bit weak. And if they have to utilize their bench, that's where you gain the advantage. You can, for example, swap Havertz for Muniz, where they don't have that luxury. They play the same. They flog the same 11.
Yeah, that's how I see it. I look at Haaland drafts and think, okay, so if any of your 11 get injured game week 1, you ain't sticking any of your bench players in game week 2. You're making that transfer. And you're going, oh, unlucky. I've lost this player. I've got to transfer him out because I'm unsure on Barco. Like, that's how I see drafts going. Like,
wait, keep that there. Keep that energy till you see my team. You're going to see my team. We're going to go to it in a minute. So you get your opportunity. But overall, I think the chat thinks the team is solid for a no Haaland. I really like it as well, to be honest. And I think you're one of the few managers that actually has the nerve and the stubbornness to stick with it. But I'll be intrigued to see.
Stubbornness definitely. And also, a Haaland blank when he's 15 million is huge.
Devastating.
It's huge for non-owners. It's huge for non-owners. And I think people say, aren't you frightened about Ipswich game week 2? I'd be more frightened if I owned him watching Ipswich.
No, come on, be honest, Andy. Be honest. City score. No, but be honest. The reason he's such a formidable force, unlike a lot of other teams, he scores all their goals. No one else really scores. So City are normally going to be top, second or first highest goal scoring team in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And he scores all their goals. That's the thing. It's relentless. If Doku and Bernardo or Grealish all tucked in with 10, 50, like 8 some of these goals, but he's similar to do you remember when it started to get silly, where Messi would score 70 goals and Fabregas was second highest goal scorer of 10, where before it was balanced 40. I think with City, he just scores every goal. So that's the reason I say where in the back of my mind, I think no problem, you can go without him. And my draft before now was without him. But then I just think the captaincy, that it's the relentless 8 points, 16 points, 8.6. So that's what was in my head. But you seem you're undeterred. You're not deterred by that. You're not too concerned.
I'm not too concerned. He's 15 million for a reason. I'm sure he'll get a brace against Ipswich. Well done, brilliant. But if my captain game week 2 can match that, Salah can do that at home to Brentford, no problem.
100%. He's punished them before. All right, let's go to we've had enough talking about your gorgeous team. Have a look at this team. So this is what you're going to be up against, Andy. So this is what you're going to be up against. But by the way, I'm not fully locked in before anyone says to me, Mo, your team's changed. So yeah, we're allowed to change our team. All right. So who have I got? Henderson in goal, which you've got on the bench. I mean, it's a bit of what a luxury you've got. And then I've got Trent. I had to find a way. Really, I shouldn't have him because my funds are so scarce. But Trent in defense with here's the difference now. Look, I've got Mikalenko from Everton, who's not bad, 4.5. If they can maintain, they were second highest clean sheets at.
It's Dyche. So if you can get those clean sheets for 4.5, I really love the Dyche defense anyway, and it looks like Tarkowski and Branthwaite are going to be the centre backs again, and they're so solid.
They are, in it.
Yeah, I don't really love Mikalenko's attacking threat under Dyche.
Yeah, and his fitness. I'm not even 100% certain is that position locked down. If I'm totally honest with you, it worries me a little bit because, like you said, I don't want to be making transfers. And unlike you, I don't even have a bench. But we'll get to that. So that's my Everton defender there. And then Vardio, like you, we think if he plays in that left position, we're going to be enjoying some points. I mean, last season he done really well. Salah in midfield, like you as well. I've got him captain, unlike you at the moment. I don't mind the early kickoff. I'm cool with that.
Salah's great, but Ipswich will be, I think, different that game week 1. You
reckon? You don't think it's the opposite? They're going to be. They don't know what's going to hit them.
Like overhyped, you mean? Overhyped.
No, yeah, they're going to be full of excitement and adrenaline, and like this is for majority of the players, this is their dream to come in the Premier League. So they're going to be playing out their skin. But they don't know the standards, what's coming to get them. So when you play against a team, when it's an unknown, I haven't been keeping an eye on their pre-seasons, but hopefully they've scheduled a couple of Prem games because the difference between the Prem and the Championship, their eyes are going to be like, what? Players everywhere.
Yeah, the interesting thing is if they believe they can go for it game week 1 against Liverpool and play the same way, and Leif Davis is high up the pitch, Salah might have the freedom of that right side.
And the way Liverpool build with slot, they build in a almost 4-4-2, and they sometimes, or even if Salah's wide, they leave him 1v1. Obviously, I mean, Klopp used to do that as well, but it's designed to leave that guy 1v1. So he's just cutting in, popping the shots off, or getting the assists. So he's going to cause them so much problems. Once we gold them, obviously we're going to keep ball. With slot now, it's different from Klopp. We take our time now. So this is the interesting thing this season, Andy. So I think Salah's going to benefit from it, honestly.
Yeah,
he does. Yeah, I think that the captaincy there, I'm pretty comfortable at the moment.
I mean, I don't hate it at all. I don't hate it. Like, I could go Salah, and I wouldn't hate it, but always 12:30 puts me off. I don't know why that is, and it shouldn't do. But away from home, 12:30,
you're just not the keenest. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna see. I'm already bracing myself for that Gandhi meme on Twitter. I'm gonna see it. It's inevitable. It's coming. After that, unlike you, I have to play in Cuckoo if I go with this team, which is not great against City. We've just spoken about City's going to be one of the best teams in the league. So that's not ideal. But these are the constraints I have to take. Obviously, like you said, that's what you don't like about this. I've got Eze, though. That's a nice pick, albeit with the caveat, like you said, you're not sure without Elise and no Mateta at the start of the season. I'm still pretty comfortable at that price point. I would prefer Gordon, but the money's not there.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the midfield so far? And I've got like you. I've got Callum in the midfield, which obviously might have to change as well.
Yeah, I think it's not too far off from my team at all. Like the midfield, you've got the similar ideas. Like you say, you would have Gordon if you had the money instead of Eze.
Yeah,
is that right?
And if you're saying that, so Gordon could match. Here's the difference of our teams. So if if Eze can match Gordon, even if it's a lesser percentage, and then in Cuckoo can match Odegaard, which is actually possible. It sounds crazy, but it's possible. He's going to be playing more attacking, obviously for a weaker team.
Yeah, yeah.
Then all of a sudden, I've got my Haaland against your Havertz. I know you've got your two defenders.
That's still a big stretch, but I've got a lot more defense as well.
So what do you think of the team? Chat, what do you think of this team compared to Andy's team? His team's obviously more balanced, but my team, I've got the three big hitters, I would say. The best defender, the best midfielder, and the best attacker.
Do you like that Muniz fixture against Manchester United first game?
Yeah, I don't mind it that much. Manchester United, I still don't see them being defensively incredible. I mean, last season they were hideous defensively. I mean, can Ten Hag get that? I know they had injuries, I know, but I'm not the confident on Manchester United's defense. But again, I don't have much option. You're saying that, Andy, I could go Wood. I could go Wood then instead of Menezes that first fixture, but I don't want to make a transfer game week 2.
I mean, I would perhaps start Rodgers over Menezes game week 1 and switch those two for the first game.
You reckon?
And then you've got Muniz there for game week 2. I've seen Alf's comment there.
My pundit, my juice pundit is telling me I'm missing some Arsenal assets, which is true, but how can I fit them in? How can I fit them in? Oh, another one by Jay, ESR. That's actually a good shout as well. But so I could lower someone here potentially to try and improve that. But
I mean, if Hudson-Odoi isn't as nailed as we think he is as a starter for Forest, like, could we switch that to ESR?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I could.
That's what I would be considering. Or if we know Elanga's going to play, something like that, whichever one. We just need to know something with a bit more confidence. We can't be having minutes risks in game week 1.
I mean, I love Gibbs White. If I could get there.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
And I have thought about that as well, like another downgrade of my defense, which is huge, to upgrade Hudson-Odoi to Gibbs White.
I think you'd get more from that. Unless defense, can you see the defense last season? I wasn't quite sure what it is, Andy. I don't know if you know, and I've not seen anyone talk about why the defenses were so poor. Now we know we've seen City keep it almost to 19th minute, and then it's a concentration thing and they concede. But they were comfortable, they've won the game. But why are the other teams? Why was there so much goals conceded? You have an idea on that? What?
I mean, was it partly like if teams were 2-0 up, and then it's kind of, okay, we've won the game. Oh, but here's 14 minutes of extra time. So they brought on substitutions like they would do 70th, 80th minute, like defensive. Let's sit back a bit, invite pressure, see if we can counter teams. But 70, 80 minutes, there's still half an hour to play sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good shout. So the extra minutes, as they're such strict now with the added on extra time. Yeah, was it tactically all this inverted stuff going on? Our defense is losing shape. Not sure how to defend, even though the whole point of that at times is to stop counterattacks and give you stability. But I wasn't quite sure. But the amount of goals conceded did put me off big at the back. I will say that.
Yeah. I mean, someone like Dyche is so good at it. When Everton go 1-0 up and he sets his mind to defend that lead, it's great. I mean, I had Branthwaite for a long time last season, and he's someone that's I've thought about because of he's got the attacking threat. You know that Dyche corners are great as well. 5 million shouldn't put me off as much as it should.
Yeah. What do you think on that one there, Andy? Who would you pick?
Gibbs White, if there's no money, yeah.
If there's no money issue, definitely, yeah. Thought we'd answer that one quickly. And lastly on my draft, the bench. What do you reckon, Andy? Have a look. So it's got Rodgers, who's had a good preseason, but he's a minutes. I know the amount of players they're buying, and I'm hearing they might even buy Felix. Tells you where Aston Villa are aiming for. And then I've got 2 £4 million players, Barco and Harwood.
Yeah, see, how long in the season can this go where you're like trying to save transfers, stuff happens, and you're like, I can't rely on Barco, I can't rely on Harwood Bellis, so I'm going to have to make a transfer.
But the saving transfer thing, you're talking about it as almost a strategy, but is it a strategy? It's just something that we can only do if we don't have to respond to our team, though, Andy. Like you're doing it almost as a strategy because you've got a bench, isn't it? You're thinking, I'll be stubborn, I won't make a change. But the majority of managers are not going to see 4 or 5 transfers saved, are they?
No, I get that completely, but I think that you want to have some protection on the bench. That if a player's out for a couple of weeks, you can go, okay, fine. At least I've got this 4.5 reliable like Lewis Dunk on the bench that I can just rely on. When you go super cheap and players that you can't rely on, it's almost like you have to make the transfer because you can't bring in anyone to like replace them.
So you think that's the biggest risk of my team, Andy? The bench.
I wouldn't say the biggest risk. I think Gameweek 1, the fact you've started in Nkunku and Muniz.
You think that alone is a risk? Basically, I'm playing 2 difficult fixtures.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like Muniz Gameweek 1, even though he's in my squad, which is he could score, but I don't think he will, and I don't think it's an awkward one.
Which leads us actually nicely, because we've done both of our drafts. We've had a good conversation there. So just before we finish off, because obviously I'm conscious of keeping you on your time, Game week 1 predictions, which is actually important for us when we're making our selecting our players and teams. So let's start off with the Friday kickoff, which is the Manchester United versus Fulham. So you're seeing a Manchester United clean sheet and victory, Andy?
I will say 2-0 for that. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I'm gonna go somewhere like 1-1.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what if the chat can all get involved and just let me know what you think of the quick predictions. Just put in the scores in the who do you think is going to win? Fulham, Manchester United, and then Ipswich versus Liverpool. Your score prediction, Andy?
I think Ipswich will still score. I think it'll be 3-1 Liverpool.
Yeah, that's Salah, 2 goals right there and an assist.
And an assist as well.
And had to. Yeah, so that's 3-1 there. Okay, I agree with you, by the way. And let's go for Arsenal v Wolves.
3-0, solid start.
Yeah, I agree. Wolves won't get a sniff. Last season, I have to say, and I was speaking to a lot of Arsenal fans, I haven't seen a team be that good defensively for a long time.
No,
and it's not just their back four, Andy. You can't get to their back four. I didn't understand what they were doing. I'm like a football freak. I'm trying to watch it like tactically and stuff. You just can't even reach their defense. It's unbelievable what Arteta's done there. Fair play to him. I mean, whether they can repeat that this season, if they do, they have a chance to win the league.
And it's improved. I mean, you've got Timber and Calafiore.
Unbelievable. Like unbelievable. But you don't even reach that defense. It's like rare you reach them. Honest. The only thing I would say, okay, a lot of people saying 1-1. The only thing I would say is if Arteta got above himself, because I remember last season he wasn't unsure about Gabriel. I think he's just as important as Saliba, believe it or not. He's that good. And if he doesn't start him, I think they lose quite a bit. I'm not sure.
Gabriel changed my mind last season. At the start of last season, I was like, is he clumsy? Is he a bit dogged? Is he a bit like rough around the edges? That was me at the last summer. I was thinking he's not as classy, and I can see him being replaced. At the end of the season, he was like, blew my mind of how good he was all season long.
Unbelievable. Like honestly, I think the balance with him at the back, he perfectly balances with Saliba. Saliba's like the Van Dijk, the calm, quiet one, but clever. Doesn't even make a tackle. But then Gabriel's got the aggressiveness and power.
Arsenal defense is scary, and for me, they're the title favourites. I can see the City slipping up. I think they're so solid, and I think I wouldn't.
Pep's last year more than likely, Andy. Do you reckon he's going to want to slip up on the last season?
Doesn't want to, obviously, but I think Arsenal could concede less than 20 goals this season. They could do.
I'd agree. Defensively, I haven't seen, if they can repeat what they done last season, I haven't seen it. It's just unreal. Like what they do, suffocation. I think someone called it suffocation, and that's if you know Mike on Twitter, he called it, and it's the truth. They just stop you from playing football. Honestly, relentless. They done a little bit this weekend against Leverkusen. Again, as I said, I know it's preseason, but they done a little, because against Liverpool in preseason they were off it, but against Leverkusen they turned up because they know there's only a week left now. So and Leverkusen couldn't even see their goal at times. So anyway, so Arsenal, we both agree there, clean sheet and a win. Everton versus Brighton.
Yeah, even though I talked about Dyche, I think Brighton might nick one. I think 1-1 is a fair result.
While we're on Brighton, what do you think of that Menta? Is it Menta? Am I pronouncing it correctly? He's 5.5 million. They bought him from Newcastle. He was touted as a hot prospect. I think he was at loan where Slot was actually at Feyenoord. What do you think?
I haven't seen him play. I haven't seen him.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing him because the hype around him is crazy. Everyone's going mad for him. Like he's the man. So I want to see it and be good to see. And by all accounts, he's nailed on to start as well. So
Yeah,
it'd be
I
good.
think
It'd be good to
he's
see.
very exciting. I think we're all excited to watch him play. I agree with you. They've got many attackers, so we don't know on his minutes because I had him in my draft, but that's the reason I was asking you, hoping you could shed some more light. Shall I put him back in or not? But yeah, I think I'm going to
Yeah.
wait.
And on the Game Week 4 wildcard, if you go back to fixtures a second, if you look at the Brighton's fixtures 4 and 5, Mint is like the one I'm looking at first 3 weeks. How does he do?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Ipswich
Minter
and
on the
Nottingham
wildcard.
Forest.
Yeah. Game Week
Yeah,
4
that's
wildcard.
actually.
Yeah.
And who are you going to load up on Game Week 4 wildcard? Who are the major fixture swings actually on Game Week 4 that
Not
you
major
like?
swings. I just think there's good fixtures for Brighton, like Watkins, Liverpool assets.
You'll know the Liverpool front three by then, so you'll have a
Yeah.
good idea. Okay, so that would be one. Okay.
Brighton double up
Brighton.
with those 2 immediate fixtures. Then you can look at
Crystal Palace, potentially Mateta. Actually, Leicester,
yeah,
Man
maybe
United,
not. But
Everton. Yeah, maybe not.
it's more about Palmer and Foden as well.
Yeah.
Finally, they'll be up to speed, and I think they're just 2 great players that you want in all season. I think.
Do you think the impact with Alvarez leaving, what does it do for the attackers? Do you reckon who benefits? I don't think Haaland's impacted, but what happens? Foden?
Bob benefits.
Do you think Bob benefits? Do you think the minutes are going to be there this season? You think he takes basically the backup spot? He'll be the backup.
Well, I think it would be Bernardo and Bob sharing stuff in the league.
Mm.
And from what I've seen of Bob, I think he's such a good talent. He could do well. Like they're not going to get rid of him. No. So Pep does like him, and he could be that new like project for Pep in his last season to get Bob up to speed. So
to get Bob, yeah. And they normally he goes over youngster, isn't it? Whether it's Lewis or Bob, someone has to step up and take the spot. So Newcastle, Southampton,
comfortable again. I think that could be. I might go 4-1 Newcastle.
4-1 Newcastle. Oh yeah, Combs right there. Savio's there now.
Savio,
yeah, yeah. Good point actually. So it's not easy as there's still another player basically there. People thinking City 3-1 and stuff. So okay. So you think 3-0? Did you say sorry, Andy, for Newcastle?
4-1. I'll go with
4-1. Okay, you think Southampton, Armstrong or Diaz? Do you reckon gets
something,
the consolation? Yeah.
Nottingham
Forest versus Bournemouth.
This is a tough one to call. Is it going to be tight or is it going to be kind of open goals galore? I'll say 2-2.
While we're speaking about Bournemouth, what do you think the Solanke to Spurs? Is that good? Does that excite you, FPL wise, if it happens?
I would like to see it again, see how it works, but I think it's a good move. I'd prefer him at Bournemouth, FPL wise.
Who do you think is the better option for Spurs, Tony or Solanke?
Solanke.
Yeah, I think he just edges it. Yeah. All right, and then we got West Ham finishing off the Saturday fixtures. West Ham versus Aston Villa. This is a good fixture.
Yeah,
tricky fixture.
West Ham attacking players.
Have you seen they've taken one of your players?
Yeah, don't we know about it? I mean, I think Somerville's better than what people think as well. I think Somerville's going to fit right into Premier League. He had such a good season last season. But kudos, Somerville, Bowen, Fulkrug.
They're looking good, huh?
Looks all right.
It looks really good.
Yeah, both teams to score. Let's go another 2-2 for that.
Another 2-2, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you think Watkins? What do you reckon? He's not a lot of teams in game week 1.
No. Right? People are put off by that Arsenal fixture, I think, in 2.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. I think people are thinking they'll move from Isaac to him, but I'm not sure it's going to be that easy because if Isaac carries on scoring, you're not going to care what his fixtures are saying. So,
yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, if people go with Watkins, fair play, because I haven't seen many Watkins drafts at all.
No, I've not seen much, not at all. I think it's his price point, and everyone's gone Isaac and a cheaper one. So that's the problem. Yeah, there's not much space. I mean, you could have made it work if you wanted to, if you really wanted to, with one of your defenders. But
I mean, I could go Havertz to Watkins as an option.
You can. Yeah, you actually can. You've got that luxury. Yeah. Let's go for the Sunday fixtures. Let's see if they're giving us a good game. Oh, they have actually. So we've got Brentford versus Crystal Palace. What do you reckon on that, Anne?
Yeah, it could be another draw. I think 1-1. I'll go for that. Again, I
I'm
think
noticing not a lot of clean sheets, Andy, here from your predictions
no. I
already.
mean,
You see what I mean?
Brentford might be in trouble. So I think it's an important game to get off to a decent start, especially if they lose Tony as well.
So speaking of Brentford, I think someone had a comment here. They were saying, speak about Brentford and Buemo. Do you reckon he's going to be an option this season, regardless if Tony leaves or doesn't leave? He was a fan favorite at Buemo at Brentford.
Yeah. And who's the signing? Because he's out, isn't he? Thiago's going to be out.
Poor guy, yeah. They just bought him and he had is it a total ACL or meniscus? I can't remember.
Is it that bad?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like nearly a season one. So yeah, it's not ideal at all. And the last game on Sunday, what a game to start the Super Sunday. So we got Chelsea versus Manchester City.
Yeah, and people are underestimating Chelsea. I think they'll be all right, but it's still 2-1 City.
Well, Andy, 2-1 City, but you're saying underestimating. And I know, again, I always have to put the caveat because I don't want people to hold me to say it's only pre-season, Mo, but I tell you what, Maresca wants them to play out through the back. They build up in the back three, but they couldn't pass. They were so bad, Andy. They were so bad. That tossing that got from Fulham, I haven't seen a performance like that for a long time because he played like he was an established player that I don't need to impress no one. But really, he's just joined Chelsea. There's a new manager. You've got all the incentive to play. He was hideous. So, and I don't know, man. It doesn't look good for them against Chelsea. And maybe 3-1.
3-1 would scare me if I knew it was going to be 3-1 as a non-Haaland owner. But I don't know. With Palmer back, they offer more threat.
The attack is going to be good. To be fair, even against City, they had chances. They will create chances. That team has got enough going the other way. It's the defense. That's the key for me. But we'll see anyway. Let's see. It's early in the season, so you're thinking 3-1.
I mean, Chelsea fans still. Is Chalobah still there? Because I think they're still calling for.
Well, they want to sell it. They want to sell it.
Yeah, and he's like better than the others.
Sometimes Chelsea's one of the clubs I can't work out what their strategy is. And I don't think they know what their strategy is. I just saw today on Twitter before what came on. I think they're buying another goalkeeper. I think I saw or something.
That's like 7 goalkeepers in 6 years. Yeah.
I don't know what's happening at that club, honestly. So it's yeah.
I was going through their players that they let go, like
good keeper.
Tomori at Chelsea, just develop Tomori to be like.
The one at AC Milan. Yeah. He was
not hard. He's quality for the whole academy in Chelsea. Up and coming, could be an England international. Now let's get rid of him. Let's bring in someone else. I'm like the Chelsea.
But the problem is, Andy, you know what doesn't help development of players there? As they normally sack managers every 2 years, you're only there. So you can't afford to develop a youngster because you need when you're developing youngsters, you need the backing of the. So, for example, Klopp at Liverpool. He had so much power. He could play Jarell Quansah, who, by the way, could turn out to be a very good 4.5 million player. And he's amazing, but Klopp could play him with peace of mind. No one can tell him anything. At Chelsea, that's a different story. I think it's difficult for them to play a youngster. They've got to play the big, expensive one, like Mudryk at the moment. Is he better than, is it Madueke? He's struggling. I went Chelsea a couple of times last season. I even went with Fran and Sonaldo to watch, I think, Chelsea v Spurs. And the fans, his own fans, were slaughtering him. Literally, and I felt sorry for him. To hear that, swearing and get off the pitch, I was like, oh God. I know you get paid a lot of money, but ugh.
But is Mudryk any better than Hudson-Odoi who did that go?
That's my point. That's what I'm getting at. What is that club doing, Andy? I really don't know. I mean, for all we know, Raheem might turn out to be an FPL asset this year. He might take the left spot. Just keep that. You think you can't see it? You think they're just going to stick with Mudryk, yeah?
Yeah, I can't see. I think Sterling's a bit finished, to be honest.
You reckon? Nah, that's harsh. That's harsh. That's harsh. And one more thing, actually. What do you think actually is going to be the say if you want to pick a front four for Chelsea? So because it is tricky because if Nkunku doesn't play a 9, and Jackson Dunn, I know people call him a donkey. He was like Nunes part 2, but he led the line so well. He's got the power and pace. Who is if Jackson plays through the middle, so Nkunku left, surely Modric bench, Palmer is he or through the right? There's still a lot to know what's going to happen there.
I think Nkunku can come off the left. He's done that before with previous clubs. So I almost think that's a better option. Have Jackson as the 9, Nkunku left, Palmer as a 10. Madueke right, really, yeah. as a front
Yeah,
foot.
I like him. I like him. I know the only issue with him, he's a bit head down, a little bit like Garnacho. You know, players that they can do everything, they beat people easily, but when they reach the important part, that's the only issue he has, to be honest. But I do like him as a player. And the last game, Andy, is Leicester versus Spurs. This finishes off Monday Night Football, which is lovely on the first week back.
Oh, I can't wait. Actually, it's only like 10 days away. All these fixtures. How exciting, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? It really is. I know. It's look at us. We're just smiling. I'm smiling as well. Honestly,
It's so close now. Like doing this stream has got me so excited to look at all these fixtures that we've got
same
coming up
as me,
next
Andy.
weekend.
Same as me.
Leicester Spurs. Let's go. Spurs win, but 2-1.
Spurs win 2-1. Yeah. And with Spurs, so you've seen in pre-season, Kulu's been playing through the middle at the moment. Not even Son, which is a bit different.
Yeah.
You've been tempted. You thought any of their midfielders. I know you've got Pedro Porro in your team, but you've not considered any other Spurs players.
No.
No?
I've considered Son. No others apart from that. I don't like Brennan Johnson particularly. I don't trust his minutes. I don't know why. Son's the only one. Yeah, Son's the only one. But
Spurs fans, honestly, here we go. They're all coming out the woodwork now. Look, you see.
Yeah, I think one thing I would say about Leicester, looking at their defence, I think it's the worst defence in the league. I think it's slow.
Leicester's?
I think it's slow, flat-footed, sturgy defence. I think with Ipswich and with Southampton, at least they've got defenders that can move a bit.
Yeah.
Leicester aren't mobile, and that worries me for them.
That was perfect. Thank you, Andy. I want to do one more thing real quick because I've kept you looking nearly an hour, and we're definitely. Oh, it's past an hour. Sorry, Andy. One more thing I want you to do. Give me the top 4 and who do you think is going to get relegated? This will be on video. I'll be showing it to you at the end of the season, Andy, to see how well you've done.
Yeah, no worries. I think top 4 for me is pretty easy, and you might like it, you might not. But I think Arsenal top, City second, Liverpool third, Spurs fourth.
Spurs. My goodness. Have you only said that because Chai's on the chat? Surely not. Surely not. Spurs fourth. No, Villa, Manchester United, Newcastle, Chelsea.
No. I think Spurs are doing good things. They've got some good youngsters. I think the development of like Porro, Doggy, if they get that number 9 sorted, the integration of youngsters. So Archie Gray from Leeds, but also Bergvall. They've got these like Will Shankshire, is that right? Mikey Moore and other players coming through. I think the whole club will be buoyant this season. So I think Spurs fourth, yeah.
Cool. And the relegation?
I don't want to say what I'd like the promoted teams, but it's hard to.
It's hard to look past them.
Let's give Ipswich 17th. Let's say Southampton, Leicester bottom 2.
Okay, and who do you think is who creeps in there then?
I'm going to say Brentford.
Brentford. All right, fair. Yeah. Fair. No problem. Listen, Andy, thank you very much. I've kept you for a long time. I really appreciate that. I hope that went well for you. That was really enjoyable for me.
Nice, mate.
I love picking your brain, honestly, your football brain. I like that you're very opinionated. And you're one of the few managers that don't follow the hype. You do what you do. And if it goes wrong, you own it.
Yeah.
That's what I like. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not a big deal. You more than freely advertise it. You don't really care.
What's going to happen if I get a bad rank?
Exactly. It's as simple as that. But how did you finish last season, actually? How did you finish?
220k, which was...
He was as bad as me.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. Darwin Núñez, mate. The belief I had in that guy and his stats and Klopp as attacking 3, the period around Christmas where he was starting every game, you had good fixtures against like Sheffield United, Luton. He hit the woodwork 4 times when I catched him against Chelsea. Like the pain of it, and he really, really hurt me. So
I had quite a lot of them moments last season. Quite a lot, to be honest. It started off at one stage. Anyway, we can leave that for another conversation because I want to end it here. But Andy, listen, thank you very much, my friend, for coming.
No worries.
I really appreciate it.
Let's do a space next week sometime, yeah?
Yes, please. And I hope everyone in the chat, thank you very much for participating. And I hope it went well. I still didn't know what I was doing properly with the buttons and stuff. It's my first stream, so yeah, hopefully
Mate,
that was all right for you guys as well.
it's
On
so,
that
it's so
note,
relaxed. So relaxed, mate. You're doing a good job. It's all good.
thank you very much, Andy. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Anyway, on that note, good night, everyone. I'll see you later.